But now, to an important legal question the media has long been dodging. Should you be able to sue the media for damages if readers make nasty comments about you on a media group's Facebook page? Last week, the media got a surprising answer.
A New South Wales Supreme Court judge has found media organisations are liable for allegedly defamatory comments made by third parties on their public Facebook pages, in a decision branded ridiculous and out of step with other English-speaking democracies.
The plaintiff in this landmark case is Dylan Voller, who shot to fame in this Four Corners story about the treatment of inmates at Darwin's Dondale Youth Detention Centre, where he was hooded and strapped to a chair. That programme spawned a royal commission and massive media follow-up from newspapers, websites and broadcasters like the Sydney Morning Herald, the Australian, the Centralian Advocate and Sky News, all of whom are now being sued by Voller, not for those articles, but for comments below them on their Facebook pages, including one where a reader branded him a rapist.
Mr. Voller said the comments on 10 Facebook posts published in 2016 and 2017 carried a series of false and defamatory imputations, including that he attacked a Salvation Army officer who visited him in detention and left the man blind in one eye.
The media groups are being sued on the basis that they published these slurs and
knew or should have known that there was a significant risk of defamatory observations about the plaintiff.
The media companies are arguing they should not be liable because they have no control over readers' comments. But last week, Justice Stephen Rothman threw that argument out, finding the media were the first or primary publisher, that their Facebook pages were used for their own commercial interests, and that the pages were designed to
optimise readership of the newspaper or broadcast and to optimise advertising revenue.
Justice Rothman also found that
each defendant was aware that comments on its initial posting, more probably than not, would include defamatory material.
And he then warned that the media
cannot escape the likely consequences of its action by turning a blind eye.
In other words, they could have foreseen that Voller might be defamed. Now, at this junction you might ask, as Sarah Harris did on Studio 10, the obvious question.
What about the people who make the comments? Shouldn't they have some responsibility? Why are we going after Facebook? Why are we going after the news organisations? What about the people who spout this stuff online?
Well, the simple answer to that is Joe Public has no money, so there's no point in chasing him for cash. And as for suing Facebook, well, as Michael Bradley from Mark Lawyers told Channel 7 earlier this year in regard to a separate case,
it's difficult. There really is no precedent for a successful suit against Facebook.
But after last week's ruling, the publishers are crying foul, with News Corp telling The Australian,
it defies belief that media organisations are held responsible for comments made by other people on social media pages. It is ridiculous that the media company is held responsible, while Facebook, which gives us no ability to turn off comments on its platform, bears no responsibility at all.
That was echoed by Nine boss Hugh Marks, who told the National Press Club,
now, if it was us, we'd turn off comments on the right story. We just wouldn't facilitate it because we would know the risk is there. That's what responsible publishers do.
But according to the judge, that is simply not true. Justice Rothman found the media groups in fact have the capacity to do exactly that by using Facebook's tools to hide comments until they've been vetted. Except that would mean, as the former head of the Journalists Union, Chris Warren, observed in Crikey,
the companies might have to employ people, perhaps some of those journalists they've already laid off, to monitor the comments, through hiding by default until they can be approved. In the judge's summary of the evidence on monitoring, you can almost hear the companies spluttering. But the cost, Your Honour.
The media groups could also block comments entirely, but at even greater cost, especially for the outrage media, because controversy drives clicks and hosing it down is bad for business. 4 out of 10 visitors to the Australian's website come via Facebook. And as Chris Warren points out,
sacrificing Facebook comments would risk losing this subscription flow.
Delaying comments or dialing down the outrage would have a similar effect. So, is the judgment reasonable? Seems to me it is. But it may well be appealed, and as defamation barrister Matt Collins QC told 2GB,
Australian law is completely out of whack with laws in the rest of the world that we like to compare ourselves with. You know, a person would not be liable, or a media organisation would not be liable for this kind of conduct in the United States or the United Kingdom.
Maybe so, but for now, the Australian media would be well advised to listen to another legal expert, Michael Douglas, who summed it up for The Conversation.
Here is the controversial gist of Voller's case. By encouraging engagement, the media walked into this mess.
And who then warned that, for the moment at least,
media companies and anyone who drums up social media engagement with controversy are well advised to dedicate more resources to content moderation.
Or to put it more bluntly, if you let people spread defamatory lies on your public Facebook page, you may have to pay the price.